Hello, we're here at the Carolina School of Broadcasting, back once again with my compadres here. I'm Tanya Jameson, and we're talking about the Light Factory's Luminaries Lecture Series featuring Camille Seaman. We're showing some of her works, The Last Iceberg. Guys, tell us who's here with me.
I'm Paul Cotter. I teach photography at Davidson Day School.
I'm Jeff Jackson. I'm the Arts and Culture Editor at Charlotte Viewpoint.
I'm Dennis Keel. I'm the Chief Curator at the Light Factory.
Well, I'll say I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but my most exposure to icebergs has got to be from the movie Titanic, and that's like the biggest thing I know about icebergs. So seeing this series has really opened my eyes some more to just the majesty and the beauty of what we have in nature, and I think what sometimes we take for granted, and with movies these days, everything is just computer generated. So to see something this beautiful just really makes you realize how fortunate we are.
Yeah, the photos are really amazing. It was interesting seeing the photos online, and they're really quite beautiful. But to see them in the gallery at the scale, 4 feet by 9 feet, I think they are, they're really tremendous, and it gives you a much better sense of how beautiful these icebergs are. And I can only imagine seeing them in person, how much more that scale must come across.
I've heard over and over again, like the best photographers talk about, that you have to love and respect your work to have successful art. And I think it's kind of clear that she really has a love and a respect for these icebergs, that she talks about photographing them as if they were her ancestors. And I think you look at a photograph like Crumbling Iceberg, I mean, that thing has just a nobleness about it. It is like a portrait of ice.
Yeah, it also makes you just want to travel and see it for yourself, to take it off the wall and be there and really look up and see the size of these.
Yeah, I liked how she talks about trying to give each iceberg its own sort of portrait, like you mentioned, and each photograph really does have its own personality. You really see sort of the different colors, the different shapes, the different sizes of these icebergs. It was really fascinating to see, even among just the few photographs in the series, just how much variety there is.
Right. I think one of the reasons why I selected Camille for the exhibition, The Calm Before the Storm, is because the photos are they're very beautiful, and they pull you in immediately. You want to look at, when you really are staring at them, you want to see more. But the more you look at them, then you read that, they're from a series called The Last Iceberg, and the one is Crumbling Iceberg. It makes you wonder, well, why is this happening? Is what's causing these icebergs to melt? And that's basically what is happening. So she pulls you in on the beauty of the image, and then merely makes you think there is a message here. There is a political message.
I like this. We talked about the scale, too, and the walking to the iceberg, and you have these tiny little people in the picture and these giant icebergs. And, as humans, we tend to think it's always all about us, and that just kind of put our space in the cosmos in perspective, that we're just such a tiny little part of everything.
Very much so. And the fact that the way that the exhibit is laid out, starting with the children, and then you go to the walking, and you have the penguins, and then you get to crumbling. So you really see just kind of what's happening when we talk about the environment and what we're doing to the environment, and whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, because she talks about how destruction also breeds creation.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting in her TEDx talk, where she talked about, it's just all part of the natural cycle. But at the same time, the exhibit is called The Last Iceberg. And in a certain way, it seems like this natural cycle is really being accelerated. And that's sort of what's alarming. That definitely, icebergs sort of come and go, and that is part of the natural cycle. But given how many icebergs are disappearing these days and how unusually fast it seems to be happening, it is somewhat sort of a cause for concern.
One of the things we talked about looking at her pictures is that she doesn't hit you over the head with that message either. Yeah. She kind of puts it out there for the viewer to look at and draw their own conclusions on it, which I think is kind of nice, because people can turn away if you try to get too strong with an environmental message sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think true, like the real artistry in the photographs comes through. The one with the penguins, for instance, it's like these really subtle gradations of white on white and different shades of that. And it's really just such a beautiful image to sort of get lost in, and then sort of think a little bit more about what what the message is she might be trying to get across, or what message you could just draw yourself from it.
And part of the fun with that one is even trying to figure out where the penguins are.
Yes.
Well,
They're
that was
so
what
little, so it's
that was
like-
what I was going to say, and then try to find the penguins.
Right, exactly.
And you couldn't see it until you saw it live on the wall there.
Right,
I kept
right.
looking online at it.
I
and what
looked
was
at
on
it
the wall.
initially on her website, and I'm looking at this white on white image, and I wasn't quite sure. But then you see it in person, and you think, "Wow, this is it all makes sense." So you really, you have to come to the gallery to see the work in person.
Well, one of the interesting things about the work too is it really begs the question of like, how did she get these photographs?
Right.
What are some of the stories behind that? It's going to be really interesting to hear her talk about that, as so few people have ever been where icebergs are to sort of experience them.
All right. So as we mentioned, that Camille Seaman, her work is part of the Luminary Lecture Series, and it is part of.
Right, it's part of the exhibition called The Calm Before the Storm, Human Interactions with the Natural Landscape, which will be on view at the Light Factory in Uptown Charlotte through May 6th. But Camille will be here March 22nd. That's a Thursday evening at 7 p.m. at Storrs Hall 110. That's the UNC Charlotte main campus. So for more information, check our website at www.lightfactory.org.